If your trampoline mat is sagging, cracked, or the springs are ripping right through the fabric, you don't need a new trampoline, you need a new mat. I went through the actual current Amazon listings, read the real buyer feedback, and ranked 5 replacement mats from the ones I'd skip to the one I'd actually buy. Let's start at the bottom. Number 5 is the Katofa 12-14-15-foot trampoline mat replacement. This is a straightforward, no-frills mat made from heavy-duty polypropylene mesh, built for 12-foot round trampolines with 72 V-hooks and 5.5-inch springs, measuring 127 inches wide. It's got 8 rows of stitching around the perimeter and thicker steel rings, which is the standard formula almost every budget mat on this list uses. Katofa describes itself as a household tools company focused on convenience products, and this mat comes with a spring installation tool in the box, which makes setup easier for a first-timer. Here's the honest issue. I couldn't find any meaningful volume of buyer feedback tied to this specific listing, positive or negative, so you're essentially buying on spec sheet alone with very little real-world track record behind it. The specs themselves aren't bad, they're just identical to what a dozen other brands on Amazon are also selling for around the same price. If you want the cheapest possible way to get bouncing again and you're not picky about brand reputation, this'll do the job on paper. Just know you're an early tester more than a buyer walking into proven results, and that's a real gap this mat has compared to almost everything else on this list. Number 4 is the Zoomster Replacement Jumping Mat, and it's basically the same story with slightly more size flexibility. Zoomster sells this mat separately for 12-foot, 14-foot, and 15-foot frames, and the 14-foot version I'm referencing measures 150 inches wide, fits 72 V-hooks, and uses 5.5-inch springs. It's made of PP mesh with 8 rows of heavy stitching, and Zoomster specifically markets it as anti-slip and anti-static, which is a small but real added detail most competitors don't bother mentioning. Every listing includes a spring installation tool, so you're not stuck buying that separately. The catch here is one of attention, not quality, because Zoomster sells nearly identical-looking mats across 3 different frame sizes and at least 2 different spring lengths. For the 14-foot version alone, it's genuinely easy to click the wrong listing if you're not double-checking your spring measurement first. I also couldn't verify any specific buyer complaints or praise tied to build quality for this particular mat, so I'm not going to invent sentiment that isn't there. What you're getting is a competent, average mat with slightly better anti-slip texture than most of its direct competitors, sold at a size range that covers almost any backyard trampoline. It's a safe, forgettable pick, not an exciting one, and that's fine for a replacement part you'll mostly ignore once it's installed. Now, quick heads up before we go further. One mat on this list is sold with a bungee cord attachment system instead of standard springs, which is a completely different way to mount your mat, and it's rated to hold more weight than almost anything else here. We'll get to it. Number 3 is the Non-Mon Trampoline Replacement Mat. Fits 12, 14, and 15-foot round frames, again with 72 V-hooks and a spring hook included in the box. It's made from the same PP mesh construction as most of this list, positioned by Non-Mon as UV, water, and fade-resistant for outdoor use. Where Non-Mon actually separates itself is real buyer feedback. One verified purchaser wrote that the mat fit perfectly after they measured carefully before ordering, and another reviewer called it flatly the best replacement mat they'd used. That's not manufacturer copy, that's an actual customer reaction. And it's a better track record than several mats ranked above it on this list, simply because it exists at all. There is a sizing detail worth flagging directly from the listing itself. One version of this product is explicitly labeled as compatible only with 12-foot frames, and states it will not fit 14 or 15-foot trampolines, while a separate listing covers all 3 sizes, so you have to be careful you're clicking the multi-size version if that's what you actually need. Beyond that labeling issue, there's nothing here that reads as a red flag. This is a genuinely solid, average-price mat with real positive reviews behind it, which honestly puts it ahead of several flashier-sounding options simply because someone else already vouched for it. Number 2 is the Sidden Replacement Trampoline Mat. Sidden sells this in a 12-foot version measuring 127 inches with 72 V-hooks and 5.5-inch springs, and separately in a 14-15-foot version measuring up to 161 inches with up to 96 V-hooks depending on size, using 7-inch springs on the larger option. Made from heavy-duty polypropylene with thicker steel rings and 8 rows of heavy stitching, every Sidden ships with pre-attached hooks and a spring installation tool, and Sidinen explicitly instructs buyers to measure their existing mat's diameter, excluding the V-hook length, before ordering, which is a small but useful detail most competitors bury deeper in their listings. What pushes this mat a notch above the ones below it on this list is simply that it covers more ground, 3 frame sizes, with 2 different spring lengths depending on which one you need, all from one consistent product line rather than scattered variants. The honest limitation is the same one affecting most of the mats in this middle section of the list. I found detailed manufacturer specs, but not a meaningful cluster of independent buyer reviews confirming how this mat performs after real outdoor exposure over time. On paper, the thicker rings and extra stitching are a genuine step up in build philosophy. Whether that translates to actually outlasting a basic 8-row mat by any meaningful margin isn't something I can confirm from a spec sheet alone, so treat that as the manufacturer's claim rather than settled fact. Number 1, the strongest overall pick on this list, is the Skybound Premium Trampoline Replacement Mat. Skybound is a company that's been building its Amazon storefront specifically around trampoline parts and accessories for years, not a general household goods seller that happens to also list trampoline mats, and it shows in the details. This is genuinely the most differentiated mat on this list. Skybound's premium line uses what they call SunGuard material, specifically engineered stitching designed to resist UV breakdown, which Skybound states is built to extend the mat's usable life by up to 50% compared to a standard mat without that treatment. The 15-foot version measures 159 inches wide with 96 rings for 7-inch springs, and every Skybound mat, premium or standard line, ships with a free spring tool. Their V-rings are also built from thicker steel, specifically to outlast the rings used on most competing mats, according to Skybound's own published product description. Backing all of that up, Skybound offers a full 1-year warranty on its standard replacement mats, the longest explicit warranty commitment of anything on this entire list. Here's the honest trade-off. This is a premium product positioned above the budget mats we started this list with, and the specific UV life and durability claims come directly from Skybound's own marketing copy rather than an independent third-party test. So treat up to 50% longer life as the manufacturer's stated claim, rather than an outside verified fact. Even accounting for that, between the dedicated brand history, the thicker rings, the extra stitching, and the actual year-long warranty backing the purchase, this is the mat I'd trust to still be holding up long after most of the mats ranked below it have started fraying. So here's how I'd sort this by what you actually need. If you want the absolute cheapest way back to bouncing and you're not picky about brand history, the Katofa or Zoomster will get the job done. If you want real, verified buyer satisfaction behind your purchase without paying extra, the Non-Mon is the budget pick with actual positive reviews to back it up. If seam durability under heavy stress matters most to you, the Bzeeder's 10 rows of stitching is the strongest stitched construction here. If your frame supports it and you want a documented weight rating plus a real warranty, the Macros Upper Bounce is a genuinely different, well-backed option. And if you just want the mat I'd buy with my own money and trust to last, it's the Skybound Premium, full stop. If this helped you figure out which mat is actually worth your money, subscribe for more real, spec-checked buying guides like this one, and drop a comment telling me which trampoline size you're shopping for. I read every single one.